Hello, and welcome back to the Irish Tennis Updates podcast. My name is Adam, your host. I'm very excited to welcome you back to part two of my interview with Owen Casey, 15-year Davis Cup player, three-time Olympian, and the list goes on. If you haven't listened to part one yet, I'd recommend that you do so before listening to this, and you can find part one wherever you found this episode. In part two, we talk about Owen's experiences playing Davis Cup. We also talk about his time as Davis and Fed Cup captains and how that time came to an end. We talk about the incredible success that Owen's had as a coach post retirement, and some of the incredible records that he has in the coaching world. We also touch on Irish tennis, how Irish tennis has changed over his time involved in the sport. And we also talk or Owen talks us through the incredible run to victory in the Potter Cup last year of the Irish over 45s team, and Owen talks us through that incredible week and how they came to claim the trophy. We also talk about more. He gives us a funny story at the end of from his tennis journey. So I think it's a really good listen. I hope you enjoy it, and let's get into it. All right, so I think we'll move on to the Davis Cup then, Owen, if we will. So for you, how big a goal was that when you were growing up to play Davis Cup at some stage?
It was one of my lifetime goals. My father used to bring me over to Fitzwilliam to watch the matches. Borg played there, Guntart played there, and many other players. So it was in Fitzwilliam back then, and lots of crowd was there. So it was just having grown up watching it for maybe 8 or 9 years, like at 8 or 9 years of age, and then to be suddenly be at 15 years of age asked to be the fifth man on the team.
Yeah.
Was it was a goal achieved, but at the same time I wasn't officially on the team just yet. So watching the likes of Sean Sorensen, Matt Doyle, Michael Hickey, these guys, they're all inspirational towards me, and it was something I always wanted to do.
Yeah, so how did you kind of get used to it? Over the years that you played Davis Cup, how did you kind of fit into the team, and then obviously you were one of the the major players of the team towards the end of your
Look,
time.
I enjoyed it a lot. I guess being on as the fifth man, you're around these guys, you kind of see how they act and see how they behave, and then suddenly, Matt moved on and Sean moved on, and suddenly it's my time.
Yeah.
I love team competition, and tennis is individual. So when you get to Davis Cup, I always felt my best results were certainly in Davis Cup, particularly at home, because the crowds were massive. They talk about football, the 12th man. So it was the same in the tennis, especially the home matches. Away matches, again, it was obvious for the home team when we were playing away.
Yeah.
It was very tricky. So it was always a joy to play at home, particularly with the spectators, the amount of support we got.
Yeah, no, I have to ask, the match you played in 2000 against Croatia when Ivanisevic, Karlovic would have come over. How do you look back on that tie and that weekend?
That was up there. It's probably the best match that I would have been in regards to players attending. Goran, obviously, everyone knows him. Karlovic was up and coming. Mario Ancic was on the team as well, who won Junior Wimbledon. So I was fortunate to play Goran in the first match. I managed to take a set off in which I was, I guess, delighted. It helped me. I went over past videos, watching him play to try and get an idea of his serve, the patterns he had. So I think that year, he played Leighton Hewitt. I don't know what round it was, and I videotaped the match especially, and then I watched it back over twice to get some idea of his patterns. And basically what he used to do is, if he served to the forehand side and the deuce side, then he'd serve to the forehand side and the ad side. And then he'd serve to the backhand side and the deuce side, he'd serve to the backhand side and the ad side. So he kind of copied, whatever side, wherever he served in the deuce side, he served to the outside. So that helped me a lot. But then, he's smart, so he copped on that I was reading this. Like the first set I lost, I think 6-4, second set I won 7-5. So I was getting a good read on a serve, but then the third and fourth set he won relatively easy, 6-2, 6-3. For the simple reason is he copped on, and I was going one way, he was going the other. But that definitely was one of the most most important matches for me to be playing with these guys. I think it was a great
Absolutely, yeah.
experience and a great opportunity.
Absolutely. And just on that, on Davis Cup, I know that you had like an incredible 22 match win streak, and that was only broken maybe 1 or 2 years ago by Nadal. So like that's quite an achievement to have.
Yeah, look, I it's an amazing achievement to have that many matches, 22 competitive matches. So basically, I held the record for 19 years, and then this popped up on Facebook that Rafael Nadal now has the record. Then Wayne Ferreira, who was top 6 in the world, followed by Wayne Ferreira and myself were number 2. Number 3 on the all-time list was Alejandro Fela from Colombia, again top 15, top 20 player, and 4th, but by no means least, John McEnroe. So if you're going to lose any record, you want to lose it to Rafa, obviously, or Novak or Roger, but to be ahead of John would have been one of my idols growing up. But no, look, again, it's one of those things. When you're playing Davis Cup, you're not thinking about this. It's an honor to play for the country. You're playing with fellow countrymen, and it is good fun. But when you look back at that type of record, it was very, very, it's a great achievement for me, but very also humbling to be in that kind of that was me. That was the level I played at. So to be unbeaten for that amount of matches. And then for the record to stand 19 years it's pretty decent. It's good. I'm proud of it. Very proud.
Absolutely, yeah, and so you should be. Now it's incredible. And then I know that you then went on to have time as Fed Cup and Davis Cup captain. So how were those experiences for you to have that role?
In the initial stage is really good, particularly Fed Cup, because we've been in Division 3 for many years, and I took over and we got promoted immediately. We went down to South Africa. We got promoted. Then we played in Division 2, which was in Portugal the following year. Now, there's some serious teams there, Holland, Switzerland, people like that. So it was really, and Israel as well. So a lot of good teams that were just slightly outside the World Division. We did really well there. We lost 2-1 to the Dutch team, and then we lost. I can't remember who the second match we played, but we gave a good account of ourselves, considering our girls weren't at this level. Like, you're talking, players top 40 in the world and doubles players as well. So we had a lot of success with that. And then I guess towards the end, one of the years we're heading down to Turkey, and our top 2 players pulled out literally on the day before we were supposed to travel. Kelly Ligon wasn't given her financial assistance by the association. That was one of the agreements she had. And then our number 2, Anne Moll from America, she pulled out again on the day before we left. So we had 2 members of the original team. I think it was maybe Yvonne and Rachel Dillon going. And then Tennis Ireland had to get 2 extra people. And I think I know Anne-Marie Hogan was one of them, and she, fair play to her for helping out. I don't know if we went down with a 4th, not 100% sure. But we lost our relegation match to Greece 8-6 in the 3rd. So now we're back in Division 3 again. And so I was brought over to Tennis Ireland for a debriefing, quote unquote. But when I got over there, there was other people waiting outside the door, and I inquired what were they waiting for, because I was supposed to be there for 11. They said, "Well, Fed Cup." And I said, "Whoa." So it sounded to me like I was being interviewed for the job. So through no fault of my own, the team lost, and having had so much success with them, and then being given this team to try and defend, I thought we did really well. And I said it to the girls, given what we did and how far we came in the week and how close we were, it was a very good achievement. But I guess Tennis Ireland had their own agenda. So on the back of that, I resigned from both the Fed Cup job and the Davis Cup job with immediate effect, because they obviously had other things on the agenda, so which didn't fit mine.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. Like, how did you feel then? Having to resign.
I felt let down, because I think that, my record was exemplary. For the simple reason is, first time out, we had not been promoted ever. Well, I don't know how many years, but certainly 5 or 6 years. I mean, coming close was probably the best thing we ever did. I get a first time out. We get promoted, and then we're playing with the big guys. As I said, in Portugal. Then in Malta, we played against Elena Bell Thatcher. A lot of people remember her. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
she passed away a few years ago. God rest her soul. Anna Kyotovong, again, top 50 player from England, now the Fed Cup coach there. So there's a lot of good players. Even, we lost to England 2-1, and the results were there. We were knocking on the door to get back up into Division 2 again, but we always lost in the finals.
Yeah.
And we lost competitively. It wasn't like we got blown away. So when we went down to Turkey, same team as the previous year, and I'm thinking, great, we should get up again. And to have the two girls, and again, they have their own issues with the association and whatever Anne's position was, to pull out at the last second. So, as I said, I thought we did really well to do what we did, and all credit to the girls for putting that amount of effort, because I think we only had 3 girls going down, and that's a lot over the course of a week when you got to play 2 singles and a doubles. So.
Yeah, absolutely. To look at your time in coaching more generally. Well, firstly, was that always your plan? Like when you were younger and playing to move into the coaching world, was that always your
No, I don't
plan?
think so. No, I wouldn't have been looking that far ahead. Certainly when I was 13, 14, and when I decided to go to college and play professionally, it was literally just that. It was more towards the end of my career where I decided, well, what's best for me? And, I love the sport. Tennis has been very good to me, and I wanted to give back and, try and I think I have done, train successfully players that have gone on to do many things, on the international stage, Davis Cup stage, Fed Cup, college tennis, and domestically, and even club level. I think I've had a lot of success with all those type of players, and I'm fortunate to be able to work with good players that I can bring on and nurture, and whatever goals they have, I can help them achieve them.
Well, I think you're absolutely right that you've had some incredible success in the coaching world. Some incredible stats that can kind of back that up. I know in Fitz, 28 winners of singles events, and further 25 runners up in your time. And then on top of that, you've coached two kind of top juniors that reached top 40, top 30 ITF rankings in Georgia Drummy and John Morrissey. You would have gone to Grand Slams with them. I know you also would have gone to the Junior Olympics with John in 2010. So how were those experiences working with those really top players as well internationally?
It's great. It's I guess it's the fruits of your work. I guess with John, I traveled the most with him. We did 3 Grand Slams in 2010 plus the World Youth Olympics. So Wimbledon I did, French Open I did, and US Open. So you're in these big cities. Again, you're walking around the venues that you see on TV. You see all the top players play, etc. John got to warm Nadal up at the French Open, which was an amazing thing for him.
Yeah.
He's got tons of photographs and he keeps showing me them.
Yeah.
So fair play to him. But I guess the Youth Olympics was one of the best things for me, because obviously I'd been to 3 of them. Now I'm going back to this is his first, and from about 3 weeks out, I was preparing him very well. We had heat training, so that was putting kind of bin liners close to his skin, followed by t-shirts, followed by sweatshirts. 2 sweatshirts on, 2 tracksuit bottoms on, indoors, just to get used to the climatization and the amount of water he's going to need. Because in Singapore, it's very humid. And on the flight over there to Singapore from London, the Irish team were asleep. I kept him awake because I knew when we get there, it's going to be their morning, which is our nighttime. So I kept giving them loads and loads of digs, telling them to wake up. So anyway, the long and short is we settled in within 2 to 3 days of arriving, whereas the rest of the team took about 5 or 6 days to acclimatize. So during that week, again, he had a great week. Started out in the first round, he beat a guy called Dudy Beretta from Colombia. Now, Beretta made French Open semi-finals that year. He won the French Open and the US Open doubles in juniors, and he's number 4. So John takes this guy down, and it's an amazing result. His stats were off the charts. Unforced errors were under 10. I mean, serving percentages 80 to 90%. But the whole week, he played Oliver Golding from England, beat him straight sets. Golding went on that year to win the US Open. So that shows you he was in great form. He eventually lost to a guy called Yuki Bambry in the quarterfinals, 4-4. Now, he wins that match. He's in a medal contention. Bambry went on and actually lost the finals, and subsequently Bambry now is maybe top 150. So that was really a huge thing for him. With Georgia, I had the pleasure of working with her it kind of 17, 18 when she was on the ITF tour. She got as high as 39. John got as high as 30. And then subsequently, when George is at home, I'm working with her. And last year at the Irish Open, she had an amazing success winning it. Back in 2004, I worked with Yvonne Doyle, and she won that year. That was in Glasnevin. And I remember that so well because she's playing a German girl, and she's 4-1 down first set. And this girl was just literally playing everything cross court. And Yvonne wasn't reading it, and I was praying for rain. A bit like Michael Schumacher if he's losing. And it did rain. So I got her inside, and I explained, look, this girl's not going down the line. She's hitting every ball cross court. Just wait. Pick your moment. Bang it down the line. Forehands and backhands, and let's see what happens. She ends up winning 6-4, 6-1. So it was a huge... So Yvonne winning the 2004, and then George again last year when she was playing her semi-finals and just won. I'd managed to watch Anna Botel, another Irish girl was playing a French girl in the other semi-finals, and I managed to watch about 15 minutes of it, and I took notes on both the girls on what they're doing, their tendencies. So when Georgia went out and played the French girl, she had all the things that this girl did and didn't do on the court.
Yeah. And
I think she won 6-1, 6-2, relatively comfortable. It's just when you prepare kids or players to go out and play and they execute the game plan, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So for those guys, those results were huge. To win something like that for Georgia. I think John at 15 won the Irish ITF, was the youngest kid ever to win an ITF here in Ireland. So he did really well on that. But look, as you said earlier on, of 28 winners and 25 runners up in Junior Fitzwilliams. Not everybody wants to play professional. Not everybody wants to play college. Everybody wants to play tennis to their level, and to have 28 winners and 25 runners up, I guess it's a pretty decent record considering I've only been coaching about 22, 23 years.
Absolutely,
so I'm pleased that I can help all these individuals. But I think traveling with those guys, it gives you, as I said, it's a bit of a reward for all the hard work you've put in. So that's the part I like.
Yeah, no, I mean, as you said, on George's win last year in the Irish Open, I do remember I was there watching that match, and incredible performance. She was, she looked very comfortable, but it's interesting. You're saying you were going through the notes and looking at the patterns of the opponents.
Yeah, but this is the thing. If you know what's coming up, then there's no surprises.
Yeah.
Now there always is in the back of your mind. Maybe does she do something different? And I said it to Georgia. Look, this is what I observed. If there is anything different, you will have to react to it. But right now, this is what I think she will do. And the girl virtually did what I thought she would do.
Yeah.
Which now Georgia now knows, okay, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And, that was the thing. The match was over so fast. The other girl didn't have a chance to get into her rhythm, to execute the game plan. As I always say, when you have all the information in front of you, that's great. But then now you have to go ahead and execute it. And she couldn't have done it any better.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of success do you see Georgia having? How do you see her future maybe going?
She's got an amazing game. She's tall, she's very powerful. I trained with her quite a lot over COVID. She's now transferring to Duke University. I know the US Open is on right now. I don't know what's going to happen with college tennis. Duke University is in an amazing conference, the SEC. It's an amazing school. The McGuire sisters went there. So for golf, it's steeped in history with sport. If they can get out and play in the fall when tennis is should resume, then I think it'll be great for her. I think if she doesn't have any competition, and it's not just for her, it's for everyone it's going to hinder. I think that unless the college kids get competition, those who are on the tour are going to probably streak ahead or get further ahead. One, playing ranking, getting ranking points, but two, matches, competitive matches. It's all very fine playing against your own teammates. But George, I think, fingers crossed, I think she has the game. I really do believe she has the game that can go very far. She's left-handed as well, which makes her very difficult to play against. I think if she stays healthy and gets the opportunity, and it is about opportunities, really. I mean, it's one of those things that you can be on the good side of a run. Nicholas Lepenti in 2000 and not 2000, about 95 or 96, 800 in the world, wins 2 circuits, wins a couple of Grand Prix events, and goes from 800 to 150 and then top 50, gets on the roll.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. If she gets on a roll, then who knows?
Yeah, no, I think we're all going to be, following her and behind her fully. So
Oh,
fingers
look,
crossed.
look. I think I'd love to see. That might not. I think it's a goal, but can she achieve a goal? I think so. And I think, as I said, it is about staying healthy. And I think if she does stay healthy and gets the opportunities, I think we could see great things from her.
Absolutely. Now in coaching, what's your kind of coaching philosophy? What do you kind of take the course?
Look, I develop the kids to the best of their ability, and everybody's different, so you have to adapt your ways. I think initially at the start, I was quite military style.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows me used to say I was very, very hard, and maybe I was. I guess it's the coaches I had in America were like this, so that's kind of the coaches I had initially were kind of softy. Then I had 2 very tough coaches, so I felt, okay, let's be tough, and it worked. But then I guess you can either there's different ways you can coach. It just depends on the individual, but it's very learning centered. It's about the student first of all enjoying the game, reaching their potential, having fun, and getting a sport obviously for life. When you look at how many sports you can play for life, there's not a lot that you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Just to look on to Irish tennis for a little bit, if that's okay. You're obviously
Yeah.
someone who's been in Irish tennis and been at the very top of Irish tennis for many years. What big changes do you think you've seen within Irish tennis? How do you think things have changed for the better
I think
or for the worse?
Yeah, I think for the better. The coaching is getting better. There's a lot more knowledge out there. I guess social media helps as well because you get some different ideas on those type of platforms. Um, we've got more indoor courts. I would still like to see more. I don't see why every club cannot have an air hall. I know it's expensive. Don't get me wrong, but I think that's something that the national body and certainly the sports council should look at, because given the current climate with COVID, tennis is one of the better sports to play. The player base is still quite small. It's very healthy at the younger ages, but then there's a drop off. So I think from that point of view, maybe structure the tournament slightly different, that you don't play, you get this kid who goes out and he plays the number 1 seed and he loses. Next week he plays number 2 seed, first round he loses. That's not brilliant. I think if we try and separate those guys a little bit, to let the top guys play and let the other guys kind of fall in, because you can develop later in tennis as well. Like, not all champions are born at 6 years of age. There are kids who develop late, and I think if we give them a chance to develop and grow, because their bodies grow as well, who knows what could happen. But I think that's one of the things which I would be keen to see, is just a better competition structure within Ireland, so that kids can feel success, also failure as well, because that's the other motivating factor. But I certainly, if you're going out every week and you're losing, that's kind of hard to get motivated for.
Yeah, and there's one point I want to kind of put to you and see what you make of it, and it's a point that has been made on the podcast before, is about kind of our top players playing the domestic events, which potentially would inspire juniors who are around watching. If you look at the big events, I know that's something that you 2000 you did it, and you play all the domestic events. You had a big, I think you won them all in 2000. So with someone who's had that experience, like what do you think of that point? That that's something that will help grow tennis as well.
Well, I think that's very important, because as you said, in 2000, it had never been done before. I won all domestic events, and that year I won the futures in Mount Pleasant as well. So that accumulated to 11 straight tournaments without a loss. These clubs can advertise, because obviously I'm Davis Cup player, so you can advertise that the Davis Cup and 3-time Olympians come to the club.
Yeah.
So you're down on Sunday as well. You're down in Douglas. You're down in Limerick Lawn. Wherever you go, Galway Tennis Club. I've played anywhere there was a tournament. I played. And I think it's there was when I say crowds, okay, you're not talking thousands, but you're talking hundreds would come out and watch.
Yeah.
And when you ask a child who is Georgia Drummy or who is Conan Ireland or any of these guys, they probably would know them, but not necessarily the ones that know number 2, 3, or 4. So I think if the players, the problem I think is that their schedule probably doesn't allow it. But when they finish playing, and they are here in Ireland, there's nothing to stop them playing because, again, it's competition, it's healthy, and as you rightly pointed out, everyone needs a role model. And one of my role models, aside from my father, but growing up watching Matt Doyle and Sean Sorensen, they would be one of my role models. And I think if you're 11 years of age, watching a Davis Cup player or whatever, I think you would be motivated to try and be like them. So I think it is important that they should be playing more. That's that. Like I did it from 97 to 2000, I think. So I retired in 97 or 96. So the summer of 97, 98, 99, 2000, I played all the tournaments. So that was just happened to be my better year.
And just on that then, 2000, I know you, or that even around that time, you had the highest ATP mover. Tell me about that.
Okay, so obviously I'm retired, so I don't have a ranking. So I'm relying on wild cards. So I get a wild card into Mount Pleasant. So I have no ranking points. So I win it. So obviously I don't know how many points now I get. So I'm going from 0 to about 650. Now 0 back then would have been maybe 1,200. I don't know how many players were on the computer at that stage. So I've moved ballpark about 600 spots, 700 spots odd. So no one's going to
no one's going
to if someone was 600, for someone 600 in the world to move that many spaces, they need to win Wimbledon. That's it. That's the amount of points you'd need. So it was it's nice to see it that I'm the highest mover on the ATP tour. But on the back of one tournament. But it's just, again, it's one of those things you kind of, I am the highest mover, but at the same time it's quite funny. But look, it's another achievement. I mean, it's not often you get these things, but I guess that win was very special for me to win the home and then to get that highest mover. Look, it's the icing on the cake, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah, very good. Now, are there any other points you'd make about Irish tennis, or what could be done in the future? Any other points you'd make?
Look, I just think competition. Obviously, money doesn't give you success. Let's make that 100% positive, because you can have all the money in the world, but if the person doesn't have the motivation or the desire and the commitment to play professional and to commit all those hours, and it's a very lonely existence, then you're throwing money down the drain. So you do need finances. I think the competition, you definitely need more of that. Facilities in terms of indoors, definitely need more of that. Court surface, we're changing it. Some of the clubs now are getting in a red clay, which is very similar to what you see in the French Open, but it's not actually. It's on a carpet. It does suit our weather. In the club that I'm in, Fitzwilliam, they're changing their courts. I've played on it. It's amazing, and I would definitely recommend all clubs to change, because Fitzwilliam have done a very, very smart thing by changing, and the members are very happy with it. So I think those things, if we get that sorted, I think that would help, because it's, nowadays with the court the way it is, it's very fast. If it's wet, it's even faster, and it doesn't really lend itself to developing the point. It just lends itself to, if I can slap the ball quickly, then I can win the point.
Yeah, I think those are really good points. Just have a few more questions for you, Owen. A few more questions.
Yep.
Kind of advice would you give to junior players that are looking to make their way in tennis?
Practice matches for sure, because the amount of matches, I think the ITF guidelines is 60 matches plus under the age of 14, where the outcome is in doubt. Now, the outcome in doubt means 6-4, 7-5, not 6-1, 6-love. So more practice matches, probably better discipline in terms of their focus. They pre-match warm up or pre-practice warm up, stretching, diet, stuff like that. I think by and large they do a lot of things right, and I think the coaches have done a good job with all that. But there's playing matches. There's this kind of maybe idea that you always have to play up. My idea on that is if you play up, all you're doing is learning to lose. So if when I was number one in Ireland, who do I play with?
Yeah.
If I'm theoretically, well, I am number one. Who do I play with? There's no one above me, and I'm not going to go to England or France to train. So I would play local players. But what I would do is I would handicap myself. I would only give myself one serve. I would only, I couldn't hit a winner. I had to hit the ball 8 or 9 times before I could pull the trigger. There's loads of playing sets where I'm minus 40 and the other person is 0. So I've got to win double points in order to get the game. So that is very mental. It's a huge. As a kid growing up in Riversdale, I played a family mixed with my mom, and obviously she was very good. And we were minus 60. So, 60, 50, 40, 30, 15, scratch. 15 love, 30 love, 40 love game. So 10 points per game we had to win. So you can imagine we weren't blasting the ball. It was very, very strategic, and that's where I learned the value of a point. And I think that's one thing, I try to instill in the kids I teach, is that the value of a point is massive. It's not something you can throw away, because now that they've changed the scoring system within the juniors, it's sudden death. There's only 7 points available, whereas normally there's unlimited points. So the value of a point has become much more important. So I think, match practice and just general diet, stretching, looking after their health, I think would be the things I would be encouraging more.
Yeah, that's really interesting about the value of the point. I think that's a really good point. And then I know a big highlight of I think it was last summer, your playing was in the Potter Cup. If you went over with a...
Well, I had two highlights. I had 2 highlights last year. One was I had 4 girls on the same day being Irish number 1. I had Lena Carantelli, number 1 at 14. I had Breda Brennan, number 1 under 16. Juliana Carton, number 1 under 18. And Georgia Drummy, number 1 senior. All turned number 1 on the same day. And that's never been achieved. I don't think it'll ever be. It's incredible. I kind of had an idea, but things had to work out, and they did work out. And very proud of that.
Incredible.
So that was one achievement. The other one was Potter Cup. Now that's an amazing story, because the Potter Cup, it goes on in Spain every year. Top countries are asked. So you've got Italy, France, USA, Ireland, England, Belgium, and Germany. Now Germany didn't show up last year. They kind of sometimes never show up. So they put the club that were in, Real Club de Barcelona, they put in their own team, which is very good. So last year at the draw, Jeff, who's the American coach, he draws Ireland. So our team is Garvin O'Neill, I'm playing captain, myself, Scott Barron, Stuart Doyle, John Randina, Ross Nyland, Connor's brother. I'm sure he hates me for saying that, and Alan Donnelly from Naas. So we're down in Barcelona. The lads get there Wednesday. We're training, so the draw is done Thursday. So we draw America, which is not a bad draw. They only happen to have Michael Pernfors, who's former French Open finalist and top 10 ATP Tour player, Tobias Fenderson, top 50 singles doubles player, and 3 other good players. One of them made the NCAA finals. So these guys are all, it's an over 45 event, so you have to go back 45 years. Well, not 45 years, but certainly 20, 30 years. So if you're the final of the NCAA, you're a good player. So Jeff's delighted, the American coach, delighted that he's drawn Ireland. We always have good matches against Ireland, and I'm sure you do. So they are 5 singles. They're 3-2 up on us. Now, they put Pernfors at number 3, Svensson at number 4, and this other guy at number 5. But they're number 1 and 2. Number 1 wasn't. I think they maybe tried to. He was definitely the youngest and the fittest, but not the best.
Yeah.
And their number 2 was really good. Number 2 was the NCAA finalist. So Stuart Doyle got a great win for us to give us 3-2. We're down 3-2. If Stewie loses that match, we're out.
Yeah.
So now we're playing, and the rule is their number 1 has to play the first doubles. So their weaker player has to play first doubles. So they put their number 1 and the number 5 player together. So we put in Scott and Stuart, and the boys destroyed them. So myself and John are playing Pernfors and Svensson. And it got very heated. We won the first set. 2 Irish lads playing these lads. We won the first set. They weren't happy because they were maybe expecting us to roll over. We lose the second set. So myself and John, I said, John, let's go for a toilet break. So we were walking to the toilet. I said, John, we got 10 points to win here. That's all we need is 10 points.
Yeah.
And we're in the next round. Now we did it. And John played amazing. We had a good little strategy. Nothing went to Perrin Force. You served to Perrin Force. That was it. That's all he did. Every ball went to Svensson after that, and we just worked it out. So we got that win. Then the next match, we're playing Spain. Stuart Doyle plays us this audio clip from WhatsApp from a good friend of his from Spain. And this guy's, we shouldn't actually show up tomorrow because the Spanish team is so good. And he's like, yeah, good luck to you guys. You'd be lucky to win the set. So the long and short is we're 2-1 down. 2-1 down in singles. I win my match. Our number 4 and our number 3 lose. Our number 2 and our number 5 lose. I win. John Rendine is in a massive match, 3 sets, and Scott's playing Alex Moran. Alex Moran is top former 80 in the world. And Scott loses the first set. Unbelievable tennis. Played really, really well. 6-4, nothing in it. But Moran pulls his hamstring. So can't play. So the rule states if you withdraw from singles, you can't play doubles. So Scott said, look, he can play the doubles. Don't worry about us. There's no way he's going to play doubles. He can hardly walk. But John Rendina pulls the rabbit out of the bag. He's 3-love down and 40-15 down. Throws in an underarm serve. The guy freaks out. John wins that 6-3. So now we're in the doubles. And then Stuart and John beat these 2 guys who came 4th in the World Championships in 2018.
Okay, yeah.
So Seth and Scott were set up against the number 1s. The 2 boys won 2-1. I mean, they must have just played serious tennis. So now we're in the final. Like the Paddies, we're in the final. Hey, I'm sure Jeff is loving this. And then, so as we're walking, we're on the outside courts. There's 2 center courts. The Italians are playing the French, and it's coming down to 2 doubles, and it's just a barn burner of a match. And we're up, showered, fed in the hotel room, and Garvon, non-playing captain, he's down watching these lads. He says, lads, still no sign of these matches finishing. So the longer this goes on, the better it is for us. And I wanted France to win because they had a tough match against England in the first round. It went the same. They should have lost to England, but they squeaked out 2 doubles, some tiebreakers. So the French beat the Italians. That's good as far as I'm concerned because they're more tired.
Yeah.
So now we play the French on the final day, and we start at 10 a.m. So Scott wins his match 3 sets. Stuart wins his match 3 sets. So they're off. Myself, Alan Donnelly, and John Rodina are still on. I lose my match 3 and 5 in 2.5 hours. That's how long the match was. Alan is over there in the court beside me. He cramps. He's winning beautifully, nicely, but then cramps. So Rendina so it's 2-all after singles. So John is out there and he is busting it. At 1:59 p.m., 4 hours later, he has his first match point. Now we're in Barcelona in May, so it's quite hot. Everybody's watching it. Even all the other teams are watching it. The tennis is incredible. How these lads are standing after 4 hours. And remember, we're over 45. We're not 15. So anyway, doesn't Johnny get the result? And he is just on the ground, wiped out, exhausted. So, like the French now, obviously disheartened. And it's 2 p.m. So we have to eat. Yeah. So we go up and we said, look, we need minimum 1 hour. That's the minimum we need. But it's a Sunday up in Barcelona. So, siesta. The club is thronged with people, so trying to get food is a nightmare. So, it's 45 minutes before we get our starter, which is just a bowl of soup. So how long is it going to be before we get our pasta? Anyway, so about an hour and a half later, we're walking down, team talk, Garvin said, right, lads, this is the team. This is what they're going to play. But remember, these guys now are tired. They had a long match against England and a long match against Italy. So here come the Irish, and we're walking down. And the Spanish captain goes, congratulations. And, yeah, thanks. No, congratulations. Yeah, no, we got to play good doubles. No, you've won. What? The French, they can't feel the team. All the players, they're either injured or too tired. Right? So we're like, that sounds suspicious to us. I think because this lad's a bit of a joker. He's winding us up. So we head down further down the road, and then Ross Madison, who's he's general manager, not general manager, he's big in Wimbledon. He goes, and he's from Scotland, former player. Well done, lads, you've won. And like, is it true? And he goes, yeah, the French they're knackered, can't do it. So Ireland has won the Potter Cup, and it's the first time in, I'd say, 48 years. So if you look at the name board, it's got, Italy, USA, Germany, Russia, America. They just all the top names. So Ireland is on it for 2019. So it was huge. So anyway, we get these little cups. Sorry, you get the trophy, but you get a little replica. Now, it kind of reminds me of the Ashes. When I first saw the Ashes trophy, I was like, wow, where's the real trophy? It's tiny. So you have the big one, which they keep, but they gave us the small one. So Ross Nyland, who's now the CEO of Queen's, so he goes out on the Queen's #1 court and takes a photograph of the cup in the background, Queen's. Then he brings it to Wimbledon, and he puts it up against the men's and the women's trophies. It's just like it was well done, an amazing result. Like my first Irish cap, I got it with the under-12s down in Greystones. Harry Barneville, God rest his soul, who did a lot for Irish tennis. Myself, Gavin Blake, Joe Mulvin, Fintan Brennan. We played the Swedes and the Dutch down in Greystones, and it's the old Greystones, not the new one. Anyone who knows the old Greystones beside the Latouche Hotel. That was my first cap, so I would have been 11.
Yeah.
And then I'm still playing for Ireland. What is that? 39 years later, at 49. So it was really, really special to continue playing international and representing the country, but certainly Potter Cup. And with the lads, all those boys that we played, I played Davis Cup with half of them, and I knew half of them. And that's what makes it special. I've been asked to do it before, but just with other time constraints and other things, I said next time with the team that we had, and I cleared the schedule because Garvin had made me aware that this is going to be a special team.
Yeah.
I said, right, let's do it. But look, heading over on the plane, there's no way if you said to me, you're going to be in the final, I'm going to say, well, has half the draw dropped out? I think we're capable of winning a match, but just depends on the draw. I think the draw suited us very well. It got us off to a good start. We got a great belief with the squad. And then the next day, the Spanish match, we could have easily been 4-1 down. Scott loses to Moran if he stays healthy, and then John loses that match. We're 4-1. We're done.
Yeah.
Moran pulls the hamstring. John pulls the rabbit out of the hat. In fact, John put a lot of rabbits out of the hat that week. Fair play to him. But he did a lot of training for it. We all did training for it. That's the thing. We took it seriously. From the boys went down to Nace. Alan's a member of Nace. He got his clay court time down there, all in the gym. So we did take it serious. When you see someone putting the hours in and in the gym, you kind of feel guilty. You're sitting there having your bottle of wine. You go, maybe I should do a little extra, because if they're putting in the work, I better put in the work. So it was good, great team spirit, and it was great weekend. One I always remember.
Unbelievable. No, I remember seeing a video of the prize ceremony and seeing some questionable dancing at the prize ceremony.
That was me, baby. Look, we couldn't believe it. Like when we got down to that area and they said we'd won, we're just it was elation.
Yeah.
Because even at the lunch now, I remember sitting at the table. I have an Apple Watch. My heart rate was 122 beats sitting down. That's how nervous I was, because we're at the point of making history. It's one of the top over 45 events in the world. Now, as I'm sitting with you here, my heart rate's probably about 68. So it's double. It's like I've gone out for a jog, yet I'm sitting down having a bowl of soup.
Yeah.
So it was just so nervous. I mean, I guess Olympics, match points, stuff like that. You're feeling those type of nerves, and I haven't felt those nerves in a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I felt those nerves. So it was great, unique, but a little bit scary as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, incredible stuff. And just to finish off, Owen, I know you have a funny story. Fergus, it involves Fergus Murphy.
Yeah. So during one of the future events that we had here in Ireland, it was in Riverview. So this is kind of a tribute to one of my friends, Igor Gowdy. So he obviously heard the first podcast. I have a lot of friends in the world on Facebook, so they're listening to the podcast, and Igor was like, well, why didn't you mention me? So here you go, Igor. So Fergus Murphy, who was then an aspiring umpire and is now on the ATP Tour full time, an absolutely amazing umpire, and fair play to him for listening to all the stick that everyone gives him, and he takes it in his stride.
Yeah.
But I guess Igor was testing him. So Fergus understood Italian perfectly. So Igor starts out with, a violation for audible obscenity. So, and Igor tries to say, well, I didn't say that. Fergus is like, I know what you said. You said this. This means that. Violation. Okay. The second one was for racket abuse. Okay. So bounces, racket, code violation, racket abuse, Mr. Gowdy. So now the next violation, he's gone. So I win the first set 6-4. Maybe I break him to go 3-2 up in the second set. And he launches the ball up in the air. Now, it wasn't like out of the stadium. We're playing on a court surrounded by 4 fences. So he just hits it straight up. The wind takes it a little bit. So it's moving towards the back fence, and it hits the top bar in the fence. Now, if it goes to the right, it comes back into the court. He's safe. If it goes to the left, now it's ball abuse because it's gone out. You cannot hit a ball in anger out of the court.
Yeah.
Which way does it go? Left. Yes. So Fergus says, okay, Mr. Gowdy, that's a violation again. So he calls the referee down. They have walkie-talkies. So I'm sitting in the chair, and Igor is pleading not to be defaulted, saying, I didn't mean it. But Fergus is like, well, you hit the ball in anger, and it went out, and it could have hit somebody. But it was 3 miles an hour. Makes no difference. So then the referee had a little discussion with Fergus, and lo and behold, Igor was defaulted. So, okay. Now I look back and I go, like, at the time I was delighted because I got into another round and I actually made the semi-finals that week. So more points and so on. But it was very fun. And to this day, we he's coaching a lot of kids in Italy. So I always ask him, how's their temperament? Because he was a quite fiery individual. I said, I hope they don't have your temperament. And he goes, no, I try and make sure that they're quiet. But it was one of those. It's the only match I ever won through default. But I guess the initial part where he's trying to convince Fergus that what he said wasn't a swear word was hilarious, because all these officials would be not fluent in the languages, but they'd know all the swear words. So I think he's trying to pull the wool over his eyes, and Fergus, being the umpire he was, very strong, plays by the rules, caught him out on it. So it was funny. So that's one for you, Igor.
No, it's a brilliant story. And no, I think we'll leave it there, Owen. It was really brilliant to talk to you, and just a big thank you for your time and for all you've done for Irish tennis, and also just for talking today. It's much appreciated. Thank you, Adam. And can I just say to everybody who's helped me along the way from 6 years of age up until now, I just want to say a big thanks to everybody. There's too many to mention. All the students I've coached, you've given me great pleasure over the years. Some are easier than others, but that's part and parcel of life, and I've learned along the way. So I just want to say thank you to everybody, and thank you for this, and keep doing the good work for Irish tennis. No, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much. A big thank you once again to Owen for his time, for his brilliant answers, for all he's done for Irish tennis as well. And thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, leave a comment, tell a friend, and help to spread the word and get the podcast into the right hands. And until next time, so please join me again next week for another brand new episode. And until next time, I've been Adam, and goodbye.